When it comes to positions that lead to submission, the back is king, and the numbers show that 74% of back takes come from the top position. So you would think that this would give the person passing guard the advantage, but in reality, the person who pulls guard wins the majority of the time. But the question is why? Heel hooks are the most effective submission at the beginning of a match. But after the 3-minute mark, we tend to see a lot less heel hooks that lead to submission. And most of these heel hooks are being done by the person who pulls guard. So it should come as no surprise that the vast majority of guard pull wins come before the 3-minute mark. And when you combine that with the idea that out of 185 matches, there were 9 back takes from guard, and all 9 of those back takes happened before the 3-minute mark. And I think it's important to note that this is not the norm for rear naked chokes. The majority of the time, a rear naked choke happens after the 3-minute mark. So the way that people who pull guard win these ADCC matches is primarily they leg lock people early. And if that doesn't work, they can try and work their way towards the back, but the numbers show it's quite difficult to do. So more often than not, if they can't get a heel hook, people are looking to take top position through the form of sweeps, wrestle ups, or even changing their strategy completely and wrestling from their feet. Because after the 3-minute mark, the best submission by far is the rear naked choke, and there's not even a close second. So the battle for top position begins because that is the most reliable route to the back. Now, if you're like me and you have no idea how to wrestle, this can be a bit hard to hear. Your upper body submissions are going to be very difficult to get, which means your primary attack is going to be to the legs. So you're putting a lot of your eggs in this 0 to 3-minute basket, hoping to finish a lot of your matches early. So it would be nice if there was some data regarding the most successful leg locks. Now, when it comes to heel hooks, you'll often hear 2 statements being thrown around. The first statement is that outside heel hooks are not as effective as inside heel hooks. Now, I think this might be starting to change a bit, especially after Gordon's performance at ADCC and the recent rise in popularity of straight ankle and aoki locks, because the majority of these straight ankle locks and aoki locks happen from straight ashiguramis, which is the same place where you would catch an outside heel hook. But when it comes to straight up heel hooks, it's not even close. 87% of successful heel hooks come from cross ashis as opposed to straight ashis, which means 87% of successful heel hooks at the 66 kilogram division are inside heel hooks. Now, when it comes to inside heel hooks, I think a statement that's often thrown around is that the classic cross ashi or inside senkaku, saddle, whatever you want to call it, is kind of dead.
Try and call it your fucking enemy. We're in settle.
And more finishes are happening from 50-50. But when we look at the data, the standard cross ashi still gets more finishes than 50-50. But when we break it down by region, I think we get some very interesting findings. You can see that in every region, there were more cross ashi finishes than 50-50 finishes, except at the West Coast trials, where there were significantly more 50-50 finishes. Now, although this is interesting, I'm not entirely sure what to make of this data. Maybe you could say that in a lot of regions, people don't have reliable defenses against cross ashi, compared to competitors at the West Coast trials who are able to defend cross ashi better, which led to more 50-50 finishes. Now, this might have some truth to it, and I think additional data to support this idea is that most of the outside heel hooks came from the South American trials. Now, for the Asia and Oceania trials, I didn't have a very big sample size because Flow's search system isn't the most friendly. But what you need to know is that it took 45 matches to get 3 outside heel hooks in South America, and it took almost 3 times as many matches in North America to get that same number. So in my opinion, this data supports the idea that outside heel hooks and inside heel hooks from cross ashi tend to work better in regions where leg lock defense is not as developed. So to sum this video up, I analyzed 185 matches from the 66 kilogram division of ADCC, and in the majority of cases, people pull guard, and the person who pulls guard tends to win by submission more than the person trying to pass guard, and they're often able to do so by getting a quick leg lock finish or taking the back within the first 3 minutes. Now, the most popular leg lock finish is an inside heel hook from cross ashi, and I'm interested to see how this data is going to change as people around the world develop their leg lock defense. minutes. And as more and more people are throwing skill points into the straight ankle, aoki, and outside heel hook combo. But after the 3-minute mark, heel hooks drastically drop off in effectiveness. So the guard puller is often looking for ways to take top position because that gives them the most reliable routes to the back. Because although 64% of submissions happen before 3 minutes, when it comes to submissions that happen after the 3-minute mark, the rear naked choke is the most reliable and there's not even a close second. So if you found this helpful, be sure to download the free infographic down below, which will put you on the email list where I will be sharing more findings as I work my way up the divisions. And there's still room for more people on the rocket ship, so be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time.